Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorna's story. And we pick up right where we left off as you head back to the Merigard Academy, attempting to find Maxwell. And so, allow me to pull up the Merigard front.
Marigod proper.
Okay. So, as you approach the Merigard Academy, heading up toward the main double doors, where do you go?
I'm gonna go straight to Persh. I doubt Maxwell's back yet, but he might have come in while I was out.
Let me roll something. Okay. As you open the double doors and you push in, you see Persh at the front counter where he normally is. And he looks up as you enter and then immediately looks back down at his desk.
Oh, fuck. What time of day is it?
It's about 5 in the evening.
And when is dinner?
6.
Okay. She'll go up to her room and crack into that Memoirs of a Goblin,
Okay.
the sexy goblin book. Because maybe it's from Candinos. Maybe there will be something useful in there.
All right. Are you looking for something specific or are you just reading it?
I think the first thing she would do is flip through the pages and just like skim it for keywords that might jump out at her. If she doesn't find anything like that, she'll just start from the beginning.
Roll investigation.
Okay. Yeah, real good. 23.
After about 20 minutes of skimming through the book, you're about 3/4 of the way through, and it's a fairly thick tome.
Mm-hmm.
There is a sentence that you happen to skim over that says, "We rode up toward the Megere estate, and my emotions were in my throat."
Oh my God, okay, okay. She'll like freeze, put her hand down, like slam her finger right where it says Majere, and she'll be like, ah. And she'll pick up from there. She'll try to get as much information as she can out of that.
Okay. With a 23 investigation, you read of a ball that was held at the Megere estate. That the family that had hired the services of this goblin concubine, they brought her to this party where there were quite a few diplomats, dignitaries, ambassadors, politicians, merchants, artisans. A lot of people were at this estate on this night.
What was the night?
As you're reading, you discover it is the ceremony of the Megere's anniversary.
Who Majeres?
Uh, Hold on, I need to look at my notes. Specifically, Atlantis and Remus Megere.
Are you kidding me?
No.
What? Wait, so who specifically asked for this concubine goblin services at this anniversary wedding? Sorry, anniversary party.
As you're reading it, it seems as though this goblin was accompanying the noble family that was partaking the wedding. She was simply brought
Was
along.
that to loan?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was just ARP candy?
Basically.
Okay.
From what you've picked up the book in the middle, so it doesn't really make sense as to why this goblin is here.
So does it specifically name Atlantis and Remus Majere?
Yes.
Does it have a year?
No.
Okay. Does it say what anniversary? Like first? Like fifth? First. Okay. So I do have a year for that. Let me go back to my timeline. 6042 is when this takes place.
Okay.
Uh, okay, more details. What happens?
Uh, I mean, you are reading through the perceptions of this
I
goblin
know.
concubine. As you're reading through it, uh, you learn that this party, this ball, was intended to last for 3 days,
Okay.
and the manor that this took place at had rooms set aside for all of the major guests, of which the Talone family did qualify. And you don't know why the lady Talone is not there, because you haven't read the book.
Right. Well, I'm gonna assume it's because he brought his goblin concubine.
He brought the Cowan concubine and not his wife.
Yeah,
So,
that's something else. All right, cool, cool, cool.
as you're reading over the 3 days that this goblin relays to you about this party, there is all sorts of ceremony and a lot of stuff about Condino's tradition,
Oh,
which you don't really know anything about.
uh-huh.
But there appears to be this tribal dance where everyone, like, it's all like formed into lines, and people are pairing off not by who they're with, but by who the stars aligned for. And there's this magical ritual that occurs. And as you're reading it, it's kind of heady and confusing.
Uh-huh.
And
Ugh,
then at some point in the book, on the second night, the concubine and Lord Talone fucking bone in
great.
the
And I was like,
in in
okay.
the Majere house. You imagine that
Great.
there's probably
Ugh.
lots of that in the book.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm gonna
Um,
skip past that part. I'm looking for like Remus and Majere, Remus and Atlantis interactions. Like, does she talk about them at all?
I need another investigation check as you're trying to skip through the
The parts
erotic.
that don't make sense. The erotica. This goblin erotica is obstructing my history
Yeah,
research. So that's a sentence I never thought I needed to say. Really good, 22.
22.
Rolls that make it worth it.
So, with a 22 investigation, firstly, you learn that the goblin's name is Nasha.
Okay, Nasha.
Yeah. It had
Okay.
not come up, or at least you just didn't read enough of the book to find it until just now.
Uh-huh.
The next thing you find is that apparently this goblin has some status, or appears to, because she describes a conversation with Atlantis between
Oh
her
God.
and her, discussing her origins. Because apparently, Nasha being a concubine was also intriguing to Atlantis Majere. You learn a few things about Nasha in this conversation. You learn that Nasha's originally from Terracona, actually from Unahi, the city of scales.
hmm
She's basically almost nobility as far as goblins can go. You also read that Atlantis was impressed at Nasha's appearance and how she held herself, except it was a goblin, and Atlantis couldn't seem to let that go. Um,
Same. Lorna's reading it and she's like, oh yeah, fair. Guess that's stuck.
the next thing you remember reading is Nasha was confused as to many of the noble families. They were complaining of servants leaving without being dismissed.
Okay.
She remembers that, well, she doesn't remember. She writes that there was confusion, to the point where part of the ball was actually stopped because too many servants they just left or they were gone.
Oh. Okay, that's suspicious.
Uh-huh. On the third day of the ball, you read that the Talone family and the Megere family were actually close. They were seated at the same table at the third day of the ball during the grand final feast, is what it was called in the book. As you're reading, it's noted in the book that the ballroom, which has been set with tables and all sorts of things, is markedly more empty than it was the first day.
Uh-huh. Like even the guests are missing?
Yeah. She notes in the book that it's likely they were simply tired of the frivolity and left on their own accord.
Right, well, that's what she thinks.
Um,
Okay.
but
Jeez.
at the end of the third night, the Talone family bids farewell, and they leave the Megere Manor in good health with Nasha's estimation that all of their servants are still in tow.
So all of the Talone servants that they brought with them?
They're still there, yeah.
Interesting. Did she witness any interactions between Remus and Atlantis?
None that were written in the book.
I see. I think Lorna would put the book aside and like stare blankly at a wall and think inwardly. Did you get all that?
Hold on. Let me roll. I'd never heard of quite so eloquent a goblin author, but yes.
You remember that then? Now that I've read it.
Yes, I do.
Your first anniversary.
It was quite a to-do.
No kidding. 3 days.
Well, that was fairly typical of Candinos.
Are you from Candinos?
This is a tricky question.
Well, right, because you're from lots of places, but Remus is obviously from Candinos.
Very much so.
And did you meet him in Candinos?
No.
You met him at a trial, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And that wasn't in Candinos, but you went back with him.
Yes. I believe I mentioned before he was not interested at first.
Yeah, you were the one to pursue him.
At first.
Amazing how history happens the way it does. Wait, why were all the servants going missing?
Well,
They were not leaving.
some of them did leave of their own accord, but some of them were conveniently evaporated.
Conveniently evaporated.
I had experiments, and they were convenient.
Your own servants.
Not mine.
Just in general.
You don't
Other
defecate where you eat.
That's not usually how I've heard it said, but I understand the sentiment. So it was convenient that you were having this big to-do, as you said. And tons of people brought their own servants, because of course they would, they're all nobility. And you were like, nobody's gonna miss John, Jacob, Jingleheimer. You know what I mean. Nobody's gonna miss these people.
And I
Except
was
be
not wrong.
annoyed. Why didn't you touch the Talone servants?
Because they had shown the most interest in having conversations with my household, and as such they had been too close. If their servants had vanished, it would have raised questions.
See. You weren't friends with the Talones prior to this event.
I wasn't. Remus knew them well. Apparently they were old war buddies from old
Remus was at a
conflicts.
war.
He was from what I remember, he was a captain or
Well,
something.
I don't know anything about him, so.
I don't remember very well. He served as a captain in the Tridonian Navy for, I think, 5 years. The sort of individual who gets paid to go through Naval Academy and then runs a crew for a few years, makes some enemies, makes some friends, and then comes home to brag about it to all of their own family.
That's interesting that he's from a well-known crime family.
Why is that interesting?
I don't know, he seemed to be in a formal position of authority, so they normally don't give that to criminals.
Well, they're not a
Or,
very good criminal if they're aware of one's criminal status.
well, that's what I mean. Majere was a name attached to crime.
Probably not before this.
I suppose I don't know.
How do you know Majel was attached to criminality?
Okay, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but Tier told me that the mouth of Majere was a famous place that pirates used to hide their ships themselves.
That's news to me.
Oh. Like, so when I say that doesn't spring a memory in you of knowing that.
No. Remus did have brothers, though. It's possible the Majere family might be responsible for things that my connections are not.
He had brothers.
Yes.
You know, interestingly, he told me he was an only child.
Did I?
Not you. He did.
He lied to you.
Yeah, well, as it turns out, everything he's ever told me is a lie. So, how many brothers does he have?
If I recall correctly, 2.
Older?
I know Lucan was older.
Lucan Majere.
I don't know. I don't know about Taylor.
Taylor?
Taylor. Yes.
Reasonably speaking, they'd probably be alive. Still.
Probably, unless they did something foolish.
Did they have any opinions about you?
Lucan always seemed to covet what his brother had.
Oh. Does that include you?
Yes. You are aware that we are attractive, yes?
It's been said once or twice.
It's easy to take advantage of that, but it also does have its downfalls.
Did it ever cause problems?
It caused more attention than I would have liked at certain times.
I'm talking specifically about Lucan.
No. Lucan was a spineless fool.
Okay, that helps. I just want to know if I need to fucking worry about running into these people later and then being like, oh, I recognize that face.
I did not have many interactions with Taylor. He was an artisan. A metal worker.
Okay. This is all news to me. Thank you.
I'm surprised.
You're surprised that he didn't tell me things?
I'm surprised that he would lie about something so easily resolved.
Well, he couldn't be a Majere anymore after he left Kindinos. Because of the whole
That's fair.
necromancer, paladin.
That is true. I didn't think about that.
Whole house was burned down. So he wouldn't have told me he had brothers, because then I'd be like, where are my uncles? And uncles. And then he'd be like, oh, we can't say them. So it would open up a whole kind of...
It's also possible that his brothers would see you and say, is that not Atlantis?
True, but I would have been a child, so they would have assumed that you had a love child?
You've looked in the mirror recently, yes?
She'll look at the mirror in her room.
You look just like me.
I mean, some parents and children look really similar.
You can delude yourself all you like.
Right. Do you think they would have questioned it?
Yes.
Did they know about you? What you did?
Lucan discovered something, but he was sworn to secrecy.
By Remus?
By me, through blood magic.
Okay, do tell.
If I remembered the particulars, I would have told you already.
Right. To secrecy. She's writing this down in her own journal as I type this up. By blood magic. This every time I learn something new, it feels like it runs deeper and deeper.
You are picking up the pieces of, while it is yours, it's also someone else's life. A very long one.
Yes, a very long one. 6042 was when this happened. And you were married for how many years before I came to be? So after this, there's 11 years, and then you died, and I was created.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of time. And that's not even considering like the 700 I don't know anything about.
Yes.
I'm hoping that Maxwell hurries up. She kind of eyes the door, and tells me what he's learned. So I might be able to fill the gaps in.
Perhaps you should
Even
try to
more.
go find him.
He's a rogue instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find his students.
He knows that you're looking for him.
Right.
And he's looking for you. And you're holed up in your room.
Okay, but I told Persh to tell him that I'd be there. And she'll like shove the goblin memoirs off to the side and stand up and say, I wanted to test a theory anyways. So,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for the encouragement. And she will leave the room.
Okay, you leave your dorm.
She's going to the selection room
Okay.
because she thinks that the rogue room is attached to it.
All right.
Because Penn thinks that.
Okay. So, you roll me a D100.
Mm-hmm. 70.
As you head down the hall and you take a left into the selections room, it still says selections on the door. You open the door, and as you look inside, it's a little different.
Oh.
Across the room from you is the broad table, but there's nothing on it. The room is empty.
Do I see any doors besides the one I came in?
Roll investigation as you search for a door.
Can I also use detect magic?
Yeah?
I'm going to do that.
Roll a wisdom saving throw.
Oh no. 16?
You do not blind yourself as the entire room glows with conjuration magic.
Ooh. Okay. That doesn't help.
There is also divination magic in this room.
It's very distracting.
Yeah, you can't see shit.
Oh god.
The whole room just glows with light in all directions.
If they're hiding something, they're hiding it really well. Can she go to where Maxwell was seated the first time she met him?
Yeah, there's a stool and a small pedestal next to it. You see the pedestal is wooden. It has a little platform with nothing on it.
Mm-hmm. She's gonna inspect the stool and the general area of the stool. Maybe there's like a hidden door or a...
All right.
I'm gonna find the rogue classroom, goddammit.
With a natural 1.
Oh, I'm still riding on the coattails of that.
Yes.
I can't narrow it down.
How?
I'm looking at a specific area. I'm feeling the walls. I'm nudging the stool to see if it moves.
The stool is just a stool. You can pick it up and put it down.
The chair.
Yes, the chair.
Very
it is
suspicious
just
chair.
a chair. The wooden pedestal, you see there's a small, like, shelf underneath the actual platform. There is a book there.
Oh. What is it?
It is an unmarked, brown, leather-bound tome.
Uh-huh. What's in it?
Roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, God. He's gonna regret trying to help me. 9.
You open the book, and none of the words make any sense.
Oh, was this the book I signed?
It looks familiar.
God damn it. Surf put it back. She'll sit on the stool.
Okay. You're in a small, dark corner of the room. Across the room from you, you can see the selections table, despite it having nothing on it.
She'll say out loud, Mr. White?
Nothing happens.
God damn it. She'll grumble, lightly kick the stool,
Okay.
and then leave the room.
All right. As you leave the selections room, Persh looks up at you, because it's literally like 10 feet away,
Uh,
and he says, "Did you find what you were looking for?"
no, is he not back yet?
He looks behind you, and Maxwell is literally right behind you.
God. Okay, how long have you been watching me?
Do you really want the answer to that?
I do, I really do.
Since you hurt yourself in the selections room.
At which point? When I kicked the stool?
No, you cast a spell and I watched you hold your
Oh,
eyes.
the blinding part. Where were you?
I was behind you.
Insight check.
Okay, yeah, roll insight.
13.
He's hard to read.
You're standing directly behind me.
Not directly, maybe off to the side a little bit. Does it really matter?
So when I said Mr. White, you just ignored me?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, did you have something for me?
Well, I did when you're done snooping.
I'm done snooping.
Right.
You can't respect a little curiosity.
Follow me. And he opens the door to the selection room again.
Aha! She will follow.
He closes the door behind him, and he looks
Stabs
at
me.
you, and he says, "Right. You asked me to look into those that were looking after you. The Seventh Trellis.
Mhm.
What do you know about the Seventh Trellis already?"
So, DM, the last time you asked me to recall anything about the Seventh Trellis, I rolled a natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever I know based on that, I will tell Maxwell.
Okay. So, you tell Maxwell the Seventh Trellis is a mercenary group that are specialized in assassinations,
Mm-hmm.
and they're based out of Silver's Reach.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell nods and says, "Yes, the sum of it, aye. And, yeah, there's a call to find Dahlia Cross.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a call to kill Theon Lancaster."
I wish I could say I'm surprised about that. Have they done that?
No, they haven't found either.
Lorna looks relieved.
There is some... I want to say it's called an expedition or an expedited order, but there's more money getting pumped into this job by Balin Cross.
Right.
Well, he's not making friends.
No, he was in jail recently, but he's out now. To my
I
knowledge.
meant amongst the Seventh Trellis.
Really? He's the one paying them.
There is professional courtesy required by any organization, whether it be the Seventh Trellis or any other, and he doesn't respect their rules.
What are their rules?
I'm not a member,
Right.
so I don't know. But my contact told me that the Seventh Trellis is likely to drop his contract.
No money is worth the disrespect.
It's to send a message. You don't work with customers that are at risk, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You're not much of one for the under the law sort of problems, are you?
No, my dad pretty much kept that out of my sight.
Well, as a Marigold mercenary, there will be situations where you're going to have to work outside the law. We revel in a situation of privilege where the Marigold Academy is not beholden to Aurelia's laws, even though we are founded in Farum. It took a lot of money and it took a lot of sway to get that sort of promise out of, well, the king 50 years ago. But if you're in another country, specifically if you're in Saris or Terracona, the law is not a thing to take lightly. It's a little bit more lax here in Aurelia or in, say, Trident, but specifically in Terracona or Saris, where these things are happening. If those who uphold the law find the sorts of individuals who are breaking it, there are some guards you can't buy off. Does that make sense?
It does. What would happen if the Seventh Trellis dropped his contract?
He'd have to find someone else to handle it, or he'd have to handle it himself in other ways. Also, anyone friendly to the Seventh Trellis would see that as a black mark, and likely wouldn't take him. We are included.
We're included in that?
The Marigold Academy is friends to most organizations. And if an organization such as the Seventh Trellis won't work with someone, why the fuck would we?
Right. Is there, other than the Seventh Trellis and Saris, is there another big criminal organization you think you might turn to?
The Slip.
The Slip. Do I know anything about that?
Roll a history at disadvantage.
Hey! Oh, that's a deception? So I rolled a 2, and my history is +7, so it's a 9 total.
You remember hearing someone say once that they gave them the slip? That's all you know.
She'll just make like a...
It's a less coded organization. They're the sorts that are willing to work with some necromancers, or the kind that break the law regularly without any fear, and they're willing to let their members get locked up for the rest of their lives for the sake of the rest of for the sake of the organization. They say they have most of their organization actually behind bars already, and they do most of their work from the dungeons.
If that made sense to me, it doesn't. But I'm sure if it works that way, good for them.
They're not the sort of people that you can expect to get good results of.
Right. So I was told recently that the cover mask, based in Aurelia, stretches pretty much everywhere.
Alright.
But Saris.
It's all over the continent of Ishi.
Is that the thing Saris is on?
Out of character, you know the continent of Ishi is the continent of Ko, Aurelia, Nostradamus,
Right. Yes.
Arbara.
Okay. And she will say, why doesn't the copper mask extend to Saris?
Doing business across the ocean is difficult. Requires the logistics of window ships, requires lots of people in positions of power to look the other way or to accept bribes. And Saris is not easy to do so with. The difference here, Trident and the Floating Irons are in our payroll because they're willing to be. Saris is not the case.
Well,
It's too militaristic.
sure, but I heard specifically that there was someone in Ceres that kind of ensured that the boundaries wouldn't be encroached upon. I was wondering if you knew anything about that.
We have feelers, obviously, but it's not exactly like we can just go set up a guild.
Have you ever heard the name the Master?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, for unrelated reasons.
I don't believe you.
You can't just drop it?
You're the one that brought it up.
I know.
Were you hoping I wouldn't have?
She will raise her left hand and wave at him.
Uh-huh.
Like it? It's new.
Yeah, I can tell. The skin's red around it.
I'm not a stranger to those powerful in Ceres.
Okay. And what did you do to learn such a lesson?
Something stupid.
It usually is.
I lost a tail.
You
On
lost
purpose.
a tail. Okay, there it is. And you're working with the Master. For the Master, I imagine.
Yeah, with or next to isn't really a thing.
Okay.
Well, how do you think I got out of Ceres?
With help.
Yeah. That's why I'm fairly certain Balin Cross is going to have a lot of trouble. Which means his contract is going to be dropped by the Seventh Trellis. Which is good for me.
It would be. However, an individual like that, going on his own to try and find you, he has money, doesn't he?
He's paying the Seventh Trellis. Oh, that actually reminds me. You know anything about the Majera family?
Hold on, I'm rolling. I've heard the name. Why?
He's a Majera.
Huh. Okay.
It's a really complicated web.
Okay, I don't know that much about the Majea family. I know they're well known for impact.
The drug?
Hi. Yeah, you know it?
Was that the drug Lorna took?
No, you took Haze.
Haze, that's what it was. And haze and impact equals bad times.
Yeah.
Lorna will say, I know it. I'm not overly familiar with it.
It's a Tridonian intoxicant. You smoke it.
That's their business, I'm assuming.
Well, I'm not a historian on strange Tridonian crime families. Some nonsense about pirates, I guess. It's not really my business. I don't really care for Tridonian affairs. They're all very egotistical.
And she'll think about Tierra and be like, yeah, you're probably right about that.
I usually am.
So if Seventh Trellis dropped my father's contract and he potentially took it up with a slip, would I be in trouble?
If they took it up with a slip, well, you could be. It depends. The slip doesn't really care about conventions, such as law or borders or agreements. You might find yourself being attacked by mercenaries on the daily.
Even with the master's intervention?
That's the thing about the slip, is they don't care about contracts and promises or threats.
Right, but I was hoping she'd done something to help hide where I went.
If, okay, if the slip learns that Dahlia Cross has a new alias and is attending the Marigot Academy,
Yeah, I'd be fucked.
it's a big if. I don't know if you know this, but we here at the Marigot Academy are pretty good at keeping our students' identities hidden.
I realized that, and she'll think back to the book she just tried to look through.
Yeah.
In fact, I think her eyes will go directly to it because they went back into this lecture room.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll also say, and I'm also like 80% sure. No, I'm 100% sure that 80% of the students here have a criminal background. That just seems to be the case.
It's more than that. I'd argue, I think there's only like one or two.
Which, like, all of them.
I think there's only one or two students that have just come here through the promise of adventure and money. Look,
That amnesty clause, it's very persuasive.
it's because we're not part of any real nation. We can wash the crime from someone's background so long as they prove they want to turn a new leaf. But it's not a rehabilitation, you understand?
No. In fact, I think, not to be rude, but I feel like it's a little bit of an exploitation on desperate people.
You're not wrong.
Not that I'm not appreciative.
A true exploitation would be if we just used you and didn't pay
Right.
you.
Uh-huh. That's true.
I don't know about you and Tabernac or any of the other instructors, but the criminals that come to work here, that choose to become a rogue, they're my children.
Oh.
And while we do say that it's 100 gold for tuition, and if you don't want to finish, you can just leave, we can't uphold the amnesty clause if you don't spend a year in our premise. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, we can't promise that safety to anyone who's not a contractor, because it takes a year.
I have to do my best not to get caught and stay alive for a year.
You're doing fine so far, just a couple nicks and scratches.
I lost a hand. I've been here for a couple weeks. That's what aspect of my body? Like, how much is like a hand and a wrist proportionately? Like
So about-
5%?
Yeah, about
5% in, how long have I been here, DM?
a month.
5% in 1 month. And there's 12 months. So you can see her doing the math in the air.
60%, yeah.
Okay. So if you consider me not dead after the 60% loss of full self, I will survive until the end of the year, but
And then you'll be a
Maybe.
full-blown contractor.
all 40% of me that's left.
And then vie and help anyone who decides to attack you then.
That makes me feel very reassured.
That's my job, really. It's not the rogue instructor, I'm the Merigard therapist.
I was going to say the Marigard dad.
I hear that's actually posh.
Aww. I'm getting the warm fuzzies. And you're
Oh.
all criminals.
It's true. We all break the law.
Every single one?
No. Widget wouldn't break a law if you held a gun to her head.
Okay.
She also
Well,
wouldn't
that-
touch a law if you held a gun to her head. She,
Okay. I don't get that, but alright, cool.
if you met her,
I don't think Lorna has. Nope.
well, if you want anything enchanted, you should go talk to Widget.
Do I want anything enchanted? I'll have to think about it. That's beside the point. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
I've been asking around. I recently learned from Tabernac that you all talk to each other, which I probably should have assumed in advance, but
We have a staff meeting every night.
that's what he said.
It's
I imagine it can be very entertaining or incredibly boring depending on the day.
It sure can be.
So I know that you guys talk to each other, and I know I've gotten help from several people because there's a lot of bullshit going on.
All the students need help from more than just one instructor.
I like it here.
I'm glad. We
I
do our
hope
best to try and actually make adventurers out of you.
I hope I get to stay.
Well, that's really up to you, isn't it?
Mm, if the master had a say, I imagine that I will graduate and then she will tell me to do something or go somewhere and I will never see this place again.
If you... Okay. Off the record. Off the books. The Merigod Contracting Company is not the same as the Merigod Academy. Once you are hired as a Merigod contractor, and you are on duty as a Merigod mercenary, it doesn't fucking matter to what lengths the master would go to claim her property. You'd
She
be a
might get like a face at property.
Does she not look at you that way?
She does, I just don't like to hear it.
Truth hurts. But here's the truth for you. Once you're a Merigod mercenary, until you quit, that's what you are, and you're beholden to nobody else.
So if I graduated and I was just like, oh, I'm a contractor now, and like she'd just be like, fuck.
She can take it up with us. Becomes our problem.
I see. I really do have to stay alive then.
Yeah.
I hope that I graduate at about 50% at minimum.
Well, if you don't, you could always go the forge mine route.
What does Lorna know about forge mines?
Roll history.
I'm from Saris.
Uh-huh.
Natural fucking 20. I think robots are super cool.
I think that was something that Remus actually was very interested in and had a lot of conversations at official gatherings about.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what a forged mind is. It's when a person has their mind and soul transplanted into a constructed body.
That's not, I mean, that I think that's worst case scenario because I kind of like the vessel I'm in, but I
As
would
far
really
as
be a
worst
different
case-
person, wouldn't I?
You surely would. As far as worst case scenarios go, there could be worse.
Like being dead. Dead.
Death is only the beginning.
Creepy, thank you.
It's hardly inconvenience now.
Well, I'm still trying not to die.
That's good. But, for example, I know you've been training for the Fall Festival with that group of yours. If during the Fall Festival you were to die, Treat would have you back on your feet in a few minutes.
Unless I didn't want to come back.
I mean, it's true, if you wanted to finally have that sweet release, even he wouldn't turn you down on that, but
Right,
he'd give
well,
you the
I
option.
do. Right. That's great.
It's part of the disclaimer at the beginning of the festival. It's a do not revive that you sign if you don't want him.
A DNR?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh. I'm trying to imagine students signing that and being like, please don't bring me back.
It's never
Feels
happened.
dark. Okay. Alright. That makes me feel better.
For the most part, people who are mercenaries accept that death is part of the job, but accept that it is only temporary unless they choose otherwise. Or unless the villain truly wants you permanently dead. But we haven't had that happen for a couple years, and it never happened during a fall festival, so...
I've learned a lot just now. Thank you.
This is an academy, it's all about learning, isn't it?
It's true, and crime. But like,
It's not
good,
crime for
warm...
us.
It feels like warm, fuzzy crime to me. Like,
We have our scruples.
there's like a weird cognitive dissonance I have with like feeling really warm and wholesome about this place, and then also like there's a lot of crime,
Of course there is.
and we're aligned with like devils.
Yes, we are.
It's just a lot going on here.
The world is a complicated place.
I'm learning that. And I'm learning that some things, you know, some things are evil and some things are black and white.
You know, you're familiar with Skolna, right?
Yeah, she's in my group. I really like her.
Have you met Matthew?
No?
He's another one of my rogue students. And while Skolna is a genius when it comes to planning and could lift the amulet right from around your neck,
I think she's done that.
Matthew wouldn't waste his time. And he would simply slip a poison knife into your spine and then take your things. So, while Matthew will be friendly to your face, Skolna's friendly behind your back. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's just an illustration of the sort
That's
of
what
people we attract.
It's one of her best qualities, actually.
I'm glad I could help.
You did. I really appreciate it because I'm not a contractor and you didn't have to help me.
You're an investment, and I don't see any reason to keep that truth from you. I would tell it to any student that wanted to know.
Sure. I appreciate it nonetheless.
You're welcome.
I hope your next staff meeting is super interesting and hopefully not about me.
It'll probably be about... It'll probably be about Nox.
And Lorna doesn't know who that is, so she just like laughs like she does. Like when someone says like ask you a yes or no question and you didn't like say you don't, you're like
You just...
I hope it wasn't a yes or no question.
Yeah. Anyway. Was there anything else?
Not at this time. If I wanted to learn more about like the Magers, where do you think I would look? Because
So, specifically, you're trying to find out about the crime family, the Magers?
maybe not even necessarily that. Like I've learned recently that since Palin Cross is a Majer, so am I technically. So there might be family there to talk to and or exploit.
You could try talking to them. It's
Them
hard
directly?
to find. Yeah, it's hard to find an informant from a family in Trident while you're over here. And it's not like these sorts of things are just written down.
Sorry, I had an idea. I think I answered my own question. Thank you.
Right. Well, if that'll be all then, Lorna, off you go.
Thank you, Mr. White. Maxwell.
Just Maxwell, please.
Maxwell. Thank you, Maxwell. She will scurry off.
Okay. Where are you going next?
Presumably to dinner, because it was 5 when I was reading, and then I had a conversation with him, so I'm assuming it's around 6:30.
Okay. Is there anything you want to do tonight? Or...
Nope.
Okay. Then we will jump ahead just a little bit.
I will say that Lorna is considering, and she'll definitely have to talk this out with Lily, but maybe sending an actual letter to one of the Majer brothers.
Okay.
That I just want to let you know that for future reference. I don't know if I don't think I'll do it this session, but it might come up.
Noted.
Unless Lily tells me that that's a stupid idea, in which case I'll probably defer to her.
Okay. Roll me a d6.
Okay. 1.
Roll me a perception check.
Okay. I hope it's Skolna taking my amulet off. Pretty good. 19.
While you're at dinner, which dinner is a sizable meal of, like, noodles with pesto sauce and chicken and salad and all sorts of things like that. It's quite tasty. You've gathered up your food, and you are sitting with whoever you like.
Hopefully my crew.
Yeah, I would say...
I'm trying to build camaraderie with them, of course.
I would say that Sagona and Tier are both available for you to sit with.
Okay.
But with that 19 on perception, you catch sight as you're sitting next to Tier. You see over by the window opening, kind of looking awkward and hesitating, Anscombe holds a platter of food,
Oh.
and it looks as though he's trying to make a decision.
Insight check.
Go ahead and roll insight.
Oh no! Terrible. 9.
With a 9, he's not exactly a closed book, but you don't read him very well. He
How
looks
far away is
anxious.
Oh, oh God. Why are you doing this to me? How far away is he?
About 20 feet.
Thank God. I am going to cast Mage Hand. And I'm going to just grab him by the hem of his shirt and tug him in, like, our direction.
Roll a persuasion check.
15.
You see, he kind of like looks down at the
The hand will let go and do that, like, beckoning gesture.
He looks at the mage hand and at his food and then up at you guys. And you see he kind of does this, like, almost self-reprimanding gesture and then walks over and he sits down. So Tierra is next to you and Sigona's across from you. He sits next to Sigona.
Right. So we're
Yes.
in, like, a little
Cube.
square. Yeah, cube. It's the
And
friend cube.
As he sits down, he looks at all three of you and he says, "Hey everyone, how's your all class? How are you all doing?"
How are you doing?
It's been a long day. And he like immediately begins to just shove pasta into his face.
Valid. There's pasta within reach. It's in my face, too.
He is trying to not make eye contact.
With me?
It looks like with anyone.
Aww. I think Lorna would very deliberately, like, if he's, like, looking down or towards his plate, she'll, like, kind of lean over the table and, like, twist her neck down to, like, deliberately get in his line of sight.
Roll me a dexterity
Interesting.
check.
Oh, God. Dexterity check?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to end up in the pasta. Oh, really well. 19. Flat.
Okay. You managed to do so without dunking your hair in Tier's drink.
I kind of half wish that had happened. Okay, so she does that. Like, she very carefully, with her cool little robot hand, moves the drink before she leans over. And she'll look at Anscombe and say, "Hey,
Hey.
what's going on?"
Nothing.
Anscombe.
Lorna.
Something bad happened?
No. Nothing bad. No, nothing bad happened at all.
Insight check.
Okay. Yeah, roll insight.
I mean, obviously he's full of shit, but I want to know more. 23, finally! Now that he's closer, I can get a better gauge on him.
So firstly, with a 23 insight, you see Sigona is like leaning and watching this whole thing happen, and she has like a mug in one hand, just like watching all of this.
It's like eating popcorn.
Yeah. Tierre is, well, I mean, your head is like right over his food, so he's like, you know what? Whenever you're done.
Wait.
It is clear Anscombe looks nervous. It looks as though he is self-aware, self-conscious, and worried that he's intruding. He also looks very tired. It looks as though he's likely under at least one point of exhaustion.
Oh, buddy.
So when he says, nothing happened, blah, 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 and she kind of looks up over and gauges all of that, she'll say, "Do you want to take a walk with me after dinner?"
If you want, Sure.
Well, I wouldn't ask if I didn't want to, so. Do you want to?
Okay.
That's what I like to hear. And she'll get out of Tier's food.
Thank you. This pasta's suddenly got a lot finer as he, like, picks up one of your hairs and...
Okay, but it's seasoning, so you're welcome.
Disgusting. Absolutely rank.
Disgusting.
No thanks. As you eat dinner, there is some light conversation, mostly. Apparently, there is some stuff going on with a Merigard student named Knox, who you learn through context is a ranger student from Tier. And apparently, it's a problem that Knox never shows up.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose of lessons.
Yeah. And apparently Tier was supposed to do a group exercise today. And could not, because Knox was
Because
not
she
there.
wasn't there. Yep.
So instead he got to sit down and listen to all of the specifics and details of owlbears and how they protect their territory, and he was bored out of his mind. As they went through a whole practical exercise where they went and found an owlbear den, and he had to try to not upset the owlbear by properly crossing its territory.
Oh, he did owlbear whispering.
Yeah. He's grumpy about it seems.
Mm-hmm. She'll tease him and say, so you had basically a wizard lesson.
He looks at you and he says, I don't know how you fucking do it. It's so goddamn exhausting.
It takes a vast amount of intelligence to really understand the nuance of such lessons.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right, well, next time you can walk into the owlbear den and see how well you do.
Well, after I had the lesson, I'd be fine.
Is that true?
Yeah, maybe it is.
I think I remember watching just every branch in a forest hitting you right in the eye.
I didn't have a lesson beforehand.
I told you how to move through it.
If you didn't sit down with like a textbook and like diagrams, that would have helped
Hells,
me.
if that's what you require just to take a drink of water, you're on your own. That's basically the conversation you have at dinner, is TR complaining and everyone giving him shit for it.
Good.
As dinner ends and everyone begins to part their ways, Anscombe looks at you and he says, So, where do you want to go?
There was this grove in the Allen Forest that I really liked.
Okay.
Plus,
Sure.
maybe I'll find some briar hearts there.
I think you remember you telling me about them before.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the first things I did when I came here. But it's very peaceful. It's nice.
All right,
I thought
yeah.
you might like that, so.
I could use some change of atmosphere. Yeah. Lead the way.
She does.
You leave the Merigard Academy and you head out toward the Allen Forest. Roll me a d8.
Oh boy. Owlbear. No, I haven't had my lesson yet.
Okay. Roll me a d100.
Oh boy. 34.
34.
34.
Okay, hold on. As you are heading out into the forest, and it is beautiful, it is rare the way the suns are setting. And it is absolutely, truly wondrous out here. The Allen Forest is, by all means, nothing too spectacular. But as you're looking up into the sky through the canopy, the suns, both blue and white, are mixed in their permanent dance of orbiting each other, and the blue and white is crossing through the greens and oranges cast by the trees. And it is splendid. You suddenly realize that you can hear singing. Quiet singing, and as you kind of look for it, There is a stream nearby leading to a pond, and beyond the pond, atop one of the rocks that seems to be perfectly crested by the setting suns in this moment of true beauty, is a woman
Oh boy.
who is naked.
Oh boy. Do I have any idea what this is?
Roll me Arcana.
19.
Yeah. Your eyes have taken in what is truly a beautiful sight of the sun setting over this pond, and it creates a perfectly symmetrical and natural beauty. And this woman is singing in this strange place that you know to be tinged with magic of fey nature. And with an Arcana, you're fairly certain, and you're now a little worried, that what you're seeing is a nymph. And you know that if you make eye contact with that nymph, there is a chance that you'll go blind.
So as soon as like that snap of realization occurs in Lorna's brain, she will grab Anscombe, I guess by the shirt collar to more quickly get his face away from that direction, and say, "Don't look at her."
Sorry. Nope, that's
Nope.
indecent.
No. And she will quietly lead him quickly in the opposite direction.
Okay.
And she will explain to him, that was you said it was a nymph, right?
Yeah.
She will explain, that was a nymph. If you made eye contact with her, there's a chance you could have gone blind.
Just like those, I thought those were just stories.
No, well, it's amazing what you can find in a fey enchanted forest.
Oh. Well, thank you. I didn't want that. Okay.
Does Lorna know if it would be permanent or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would require restoration magic to cure.
She would actually add, kind of with a laugh, as she finished leading him away and kind of back on their proper course. You would have been very grateful you're a blind fighter if he hadn't looked away.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, if it was going to happen to anybody, I'm not saying I wanted it to happen, which is obviously why I tried to stop it from happening.
Okay, so it's not like I can still see. It's, if I'm blind, I can hear where they might be coming from. You take cues from your environment. You don't actually see.
Sure, but I think you'd be better fucking off than I would be.
That's all right. I can't argue with that.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
Important point. You should never argue with me because I'm 98% always right.
Oh, no, that's not true at all. I mean, we both thought that was a chicken, and it wasn't.
It's not true. I knew what it was after I asked my dog.
Anscombe just blinks at you.
Because I say things that only a crazy person would.
All right. I'll figure that out later.
On a slightly different sidetrack note, you look exhausted.
Yeah.
Hillerad?
No. And yes, I went on a free agency today. And it was a rough one. That's all.
Do you want to talk about it?
It was supposed to be just an easy one. Where we were supposed to help. A ship was supposed to come in, and we were supposed to help escort a prisoner off the boat into, the constabulary. They didn't tell me or anybody else that the prisoner was a sorcerer.
Seems like an important point.
You'd think it was a rough fate. And, that sorcerer had some summoning magic in his sleeves, and so I had to fight a couple demons, and it was harrowing.
It does sound rough.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And I don't know, I feel like there's so much shit I couldn't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any magic. I can just hit things with a sword, and I'm better at it than most, but magic makes it so it feels like it doesn't matter. How am I supposed to swing a blade at a creature that can look at me and well up emotions that I never would have felt before? True fear. It's just exhausting.
Is that why you were being so weird at dinner?
What do you mean?
I caught the impression that you felt like you didn't belong there.
I mean,
Is that
look.
unrelated?
Well, roll me a persuasion check.
Ooh. Pretty damn good. Dash at 22.
With a 22. He lets out like a pretty heartfelt sigh. And he says, look, I don't know how to see this. Like, I know you and Tierra are getting along really well. And also, on top of that, he's comfortable. He has a little bit of magic. He can hit things with a weapon as well. And then across from you, you've got Sagona, who actually brandishes the power of the storm. And will tell you about it at any opportunity. She can electrocute people and heal them at the same time. And then there's just me, who I can hit things real hard. But I don't have the mind for magic, I don't have the education for it, and I thought about maybe trying to pick up the sort of thing Sagona knows, because, you know, my dad used to take me to the Temple of Paris a lot when I was younger. Because he thought if I was a holy man, our family wouldn't want for anything. I just couldn't take any of the teachings. It was all so exhausting. It was boring. I didn't see the worth in it. And then I see someone who's devoted their life to it and they have real power at their fingertips. It's hard not to feel, I guess, you know, weak.
It's interesting that you're telling me that you feel weak, and yeah, I wouldn't. You know, if someone hit me with a blow like they did you, I would go down and I'd never get back up again.
Until Sagona picked you back up.
That's what being in a team is about, Anscombe. That's why we're not alone. I can't do what she does. I can't do what you do. I can't do what Tierra does.
Okay.
I can only do what I can do, and you can only do what you can do. And I think you can do more than you think. Do you remember when we met that, cockatrice?
Yeah.
I know you did. You don't forget that. It was pretty formative. I knew how to help that woman. I knew how to help that woman, but I couldn't help her because I didn't have the hands for it. I couldn't have extracted those eyes without ruining them, and then that woman would have been fucked. I needed you.
Roll a persuasion at advantage.
What is the natural one? Thank goodness. 21 total.
He seems to smirk a little bit as he remembers the moment. Okay. I see your point. My dad used to tell me that it takes a bigger man to admit when they're wrong. Or when they're at fault. I don't know. I guess felt jealous.
Of the group?
No. I felt jealous of... I felt jealous of Tyr. He has your eye, and he has magic, and he has wit.
Do you remember, it was literally today, so hopefully you fucking remember, how I said that, well, you said that there was something going on between us, and I said it was complicated.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you why, but it wasn't. We were in the middle of the road, so I couldn't really talk about it. He was with me on a free agency when something terrible happened. And it was about me and about my history, and it came up, even though I didn't want it to, and I tried to run from it, which is why I'm here. And he helped me, and he's the only one who knows about these things. And that kind of built an understanding between us that I don't have yet with you, but I want to.
What's... Something terrible happened. Are you alright?
Right now, in this exact moment, I'm great. But there will be problems in the future. Which is, it kind of broaches another subject. That if you want to work with me, and I hope you do, because I want to work with you.
You're the first person I went on a free agency with. I watched you get stabbed.
Yes.
I was there. You were there when I got stabbed. It was...
I was there when you stabbed yourself.
I sure did. It hurt a lot.
You were the first person I asked, even considered to have on my team after I graduate. The
You
only
mean that?
reason that I haven't really talked to you about some of my previous issues and why I came to the Merit Guard is because we didn't have the chance. And unfortunately, JR was stuck in the middle of something when we were on our free agency. That's why he knows.
Okay.
So, if I talk to you about this, I just have to preface that it's terrible, and it will cause problems in the future. And that being around me is dangerous.
I want to know what it is.
I need to know if you mean that, because right now is the moment you can back out and not have anything to do with me, and you might encounter danger later on in your life, but it won't be because of me, and it won't be so assuredly.
Oh. I'm just a look, I mean, I grew up raising livestock and catching fish. I don't know what I don't know. If you... Okay, if you want to trust me with some knowledge, if you want to trust me with something that's important to you, whether we work together or not, you can trust that I'll guard that, because it's not anybody else's business to know.
I appreciate that, Anscombe, but that's not what I'm worried about.
Oh, I don't think I understand.
Just like you said, you grew up on a farm, and you have family, and you came to the Merit Guard to earn money, and to get better at what you do really well already. And I don't want to ruin that by being near you. Unless you make that informed decision. So after we have this conversation, I want you to decide whether you want nothing to do with me or not. And I won't blame you. So
When you put me on the spot like this, it's awful scary, Lorna.
you haven't heard anything yet. Have we reached the Briarheart Grove?
Yeah.
She would find a log or a stump or a flat patch of grass to sit down.
He'll sit down next to you. He looks around at the place and he says, "You're right, it's nice out here. Quiet."
So, I guess I should start at the beginning. And take solace in the fact that I'm telling you everything I can. As honestly as I can.
Alright.
And she will tell him why she's at the Marigard, how she came to be at the Marigard, her previous lives, her husband, ex-husband, dad. Yeah.
Okay. So you really go into detail.
Mhm.
Roll me just a straight charisma roll.
Okay. Terrible.
A 9.
9. That's a 9. Not great. I don't get advantage because I'm cute.
No.
Okay.
As you go into detail,
She probably gets a little emotional.
At first, Anscombe seems confused. As you're talking about, like, how you ran away and everything, but when you go into detail about who Remus is and was, his face darkens a little. He looks concerned and then detached. As you continue and you tell the whole story, you tell him about Lily in your head and everything, right?
Yeah. And how she's trying to piece together her past lives.
After about halfway through all of it, he looks tired. At the end of it all, when you finally finish, he says, "You're right, that's complicated."
Yeah.
I don't know anything about any of the magics that could do that sort of thing. I mean, I barely know about the magics that can handle the sort of problems I'm familiar with.
If it makes you feel better, I don't understand most of the magic either. It's way beyond me. And it will be for a long time.
I worry that I might not be up to the task to help you.
I know. And I don't blame you for that. That's why when I say, if you want to accept being in a group with me, and anything even more than that, and she kind of looks at him meaningfully, you're signing up for a lot. And I don't want you to make that decision without being informed about what that means.
That's fair.
So I know you didn't think that I was completely crazy and such a liability.
I still don't think you're crazy, but I do think that you have a lot going on, and I need to think about it.
I don't blame you. I accept that. I didn't think that you could even tell me one way or the other after I told you all this right now. And if you decide that you don't want anything to do with me, I won't be upset with you. But I will be a little sad.
If that is what I decide I need to do, I'd be a little sad too. My family was originally from Port Refuge, which
Oh.
doesn't exist anymore.
I know that.
The War of the Dead had a big impact on everyone I know from my family. So I need to think about it.
Right. I had a big impact on that whole time period, so I understand that.
But thank you for telling me.
Right.
He stops and looks around the forest out here. You do get a sense of maybe catharsis from him. After a long pause, he says, "That voice in your head,
Mm-hmm.
do you trust them?"
More than I probably should.
And they know things before you?
Oh, yeah.
Could you ask him for something for me?
She kind of furrows her brow, surprised, but says, I can certainly try. She doesn't remember everything.
Could you ask him if they remember Gabriel Frost?
Okay. She'll reflect internally, and first she'll ask, Lily, have you been paying attention?
No, I was trying to rest.
Oh, okay. Do you remember Gabriel Frost?
I haven't the slightest clue.
And she'll look at Anscombe. Anything else you can give me? What he did? Whenabouts?
He was my great-great-grandfather. He gave his life to save a town.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've heard stories about him, and I thought maybe...
Do you know a town?
I'd have to ask my dad. I don't remember the name.
Do you remember where it was?
Western Saris.
To the map! I guess she'll also ask while I'm zooming in on the map. Do you know how the town was destroyed?
No, I'd always assumed it was a horde of undead.
It was pretty commonplace back then.
The stories... My dad used to talk about him all the time as a hero. I know there's a memorial somewhere. He had a picture of it. I don't remember.
If you talk to your dad again, you can get the name of that town.
Well,
the battle was called.
I'll write him. Maybe
Okay.
he'll know.
I'd be happy to ask, but she, when presented with the proper stimulus, will gain the memories back. But without something to jog that memory, it's pretty much lost.
Okay. I just thought it was worth a shot in the dark.
Just a quick question. Tuskel's Lane doesn't sound familiar to me, does it?
Hold on.
Okay, maybe that'll jog his memory if that's the name of the town, and I hope it's not.
He looks at you and he says, "No, I don't think so."
Okay, good, great. It's the only town in Western Ceres I know of. Is it in Western Ceres?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, well, fingers crossed it's not fucking Tuskel's Lane. Or I'm in trouble. She'll look at him and say, well, as soon as you have more information, let me know, and I'll check again. What are you hoping to find out?
All I've ever heard from my dad is just stories, like tales of how his whole platoon, whatever they call them, relied on him, and that he was selfless and brave, and in a town full of undead, he protected those who were alive and got them out through tunnels.
Quick question, Anscombe.
Yeah,
Did he know any magic?
yeah, he did.
Really?
My dad said he was born with magic in his hands. So I guess a sorcerer. Yeah.
Well, what I'm hearing is that you have some pretty great blood in you.
Maybe.
And I have the fucking worst, so...
I have good genes, at least.
She seems pretty confident in that fact. I'm not so sure about it. But of course she would be, right?
Aye. Yeah, I think so.
Otherwise, I hope you don't ever feel like you can't be with this group. Unless you don't want to be.
Lorna, okay, what I'm worried about, after everything you told me, when you meet someone, if you like them, right? If you have a fondness for them.
I do.
I am fond of you. I feel like there really could be something of value there.
You don't think there is already?
You know what I mean. I'm not good at spelling it out.
I mean, if you wanted to try, you certainly could.
I feel like I could make some pretty stupid decisions for your sake, in the wrong moments. I'm not good at talking to people, and I'm especially not good at talking to female people, and I'm doubly not good at talking to female people that I like. But with you, the words come easy. I don't expect them to. I feel like I need to doctor what I'm saying to anybody else, but with you, they just slip out. And I think it's not what I meant to say, but then it was. So the fact that you have all this going on, and you have this history that maybe you were part of or you're not part of, I don't get it.
Me neither.
It makes me worried that I need to keep my distance.
That's a reasonable response to that.
But
A smart person would.
No one ever claimed that I'm a smart person. Part of me doesn't want to keep my distance at all. Part of me really does. So I need to think about it, and I need to think about it clearly.
Um, this isn't doing me any favors, but I would regret it every day if I didn't spell this out for you, like you spelled it out for me. Um, the other day, I told him about the master and her visit,
Mm-hmm.
and she like really emphasizes. Tier noticed someone invisible following us, and he suggested that we lose them so we could have a private conversation, and I thought that was a great idea. So we lost them for an hour or two at the most. And what I got for that was my hand cut off. So I need you to understand that that is how fucking dangerous it is to be around me.
I'm not afraid of injury. I'm not afraid of pain. I get put on my ass every day. I get worse injuries here than I ever got tending cattle, and I've been kicked in the chest by many horses in my life. I've never been brought to the brink so many times as I have since I've been here. Pain is not something I'm afraid of. It's not pain that scares me.
What are you afraid of?
Heartache. Heartache for my family. Heartache for those that I care about. Heartache for things that I lose.
I guess that's a little unfamiliar for me.
I wasn't entirely honest with you when I told you I was from Siren's Respite. Most of what I know about my family, I read about. Because my family's from Siren's Reach.
Does Lorna know anything about that?
Roll a history at disadvantage.
Still pretty good, 17.
You remember in one of your studies Siren's Reach coming up in the context of a false Hydra.
Does Lorna know what a false Hydra is?
Roll an Arcana.
Yeah, baby. A 26.
You know a false Hydra is a creature born of deception that doesn't move of its own will, but as it grows, it feeds on people, and then it makes everyone who knew them forget they ever existed. By singing.
So she'll kind of, as she puts together Siren's Reach and what happened to it,
Mm-hmm.
she looks at Anscombe and she says, "Were you there?"
I don't know. My dad woke me up once we got to the tavern in Siren's Respite. This was a couple of years ago. He told me that our family was gone, but I don't remember them. I don't remember anything. He told me he had a wife, and I had 2 sisters. He told me I had a grandfather. He told me that we were immigrants. I knew how to raise cattle. I knew how to lay crops. I knew how to blind fight. I don't know how I know these things or knew them then. My da won't talk about it. But for the last couple of years, it's just been me and him. So, I'm sorry I lied to you, but it's not a thing that is fun to talk about. Especially since I don't have the pain or the emotion that's supposed to be behind it. All I feel is empty. Like something that's been taken and I never knew I had it. So, I imagine one day I'll remember. If the monster that did this is still alive, I hope to one day find it and kill it myself. And if it's dead already, I hope that its curse on me is gone. Eventually. So I can know what the pain I'm supposed to feel is.
You want to feel that pain?
Yes. I want to know what I lived and don't remember anymore. It's easy to live carefree with the ignorance, as my dad would say. Because he would see me unburdened. So I came here to try and... Not really to make money. I wanted to get the skills to crush the thing that did this to my family. If it's still around. And if it's not, find an answer to what's wrong with my head. So, I'm sorry I lied to you.
Well, that's not like I have any room to talk.
You're the only person that knows that.
I think she would... He's sitting next to her.
Yeah.
She would put her hand on top of his and squeeze it. I wish I couldn't relate. But I think I do in some ways. As I remember things that happened to me, or whoever I was, I realize that I've lost a lot of people. And the part of me that used to be me feels that pain so deeply. And I keep making her remember because I'm curious, but I don't have the same attachment, so it's easy for me. But I feel bad because I'm hurting her, but I still I want to remember what I forgot or what I lost, and I've learned some names and I've seen some people who meant so much to her, and I don't know, it's not the same thing, but it feels a little bit like that.
Well, you can relate, I think. It's just instead of my da, it's your self.
Mm.
You see, Anscombe is like lost in thought as he's sitting there, looking off into the distance. But I don't suppose that your journey is one of vengeance.
My only enemy is myself. Well, that's not true. My major enemy is myself, but there's also that devil and the person who took my hand and my own father, ex-husband, husband.
Do you know how tiring it is to hear people say that they're sorry for Siren's Reach? When they learned that's where I was from, back home, they would say they were sorry, and their condolences, they were sorry for my loss. You don't lose anything if you don't remember it. People would weep and I couldn't feel anything. It was gone. It's like you feel like an imposter. I imagine you sometimes feel that way too when you're living through someone else's pain.
Yeah.
And being me when I'm not me, and I'm her, but I'm not her. Yeah, I get that thought.
That sounds extremely jarring.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, now you know the truth.
Hanscom,
Yeah.
you decide you don't want nothing to do with me and you want to stay. I promise that I'll help you find that thing and I'll help you kill it.
You'll help me kill a false Hydra.
Yeah, I will. I've done lots of things. I've been to Pandemonium.
I don't know what that means.
I fought a Nightwalker. Multiple times. Lost multiple times, but I fought it.
I can't tell if you're messing with me.
No, these are things that have actually happened.
The Nightwalker from the children's stories that
Yeah.
literally breathe death.
Yep.
And everything dies when they come near.
Yep.
You fought that.
Yes.
You did.
I lost, but I fought it.
Okay, well. Alright.
I'll be better this time, though.
Well. I'll think about it. And please do ask yourself. Do they have a name?
Lily.
Okay. Please ask Lily about Gabriel Frost if it comes up again.
Sure. I actually bought a book, a memoir of sorts of Ceresian battles.
Oh.
Maybe your great grandfather?
There's like 3 greats in there. I can't.
Maybe
remember.
your uber great grandfather's in there.
Maybe.
I'll skim it for his name when I go back to my room tonight.
If you find anything, please let me know.
Mhm.
I'd really love to know that my dad wasn't just making it up.
Seems like he has that power, huh?
He swore he never would, but, you know, it would be easy to.
Well, he sounds like a good person. And he raised a good man.
You don't know that.
I do know that.
No.
You're like an open book.
Shut up.
I told you, remember, on our first free agency that I can just look at you and know everything about you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do I hold up then?
Hold on, she's gonna insight check him.
Okay.
Terrible. That's a 10.
He's hard to read.
She'll
It's
be
tired.
like, I see, I knew. I thought there was something under there.
You don't know anything. You're...
I do. I'm trying to think of a lie, but I'm struggling because I'm also tired. My nose exploded today.
You do look tired. Let's head back.
Okay.
Thank you for telling me the truth.
Thank you for telling me the truth.
I figured it was owed.
It doesn't change anything about, between us, on my end, of course.
Sure.
It's up to you how you take what I've told you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I won't keep you waiting too long. I'll let you know what I decide.
Okay.
And the 2 of you head back toward the Marigard.
Yeah.
And as you do, that is where we will stop tonight's session.
It's a pretty good spot. And scum! What you do to my green boy?
I didn't do nothing.
You did you did it all!
I hope you all had a good time. Thank you for listening to From Nothing, Lorna's story, and I cannot wait to play with you again next week.
I'm sad.
I know. I'm sorry.